Hey guys, it's time to go over some more character balance changes coming at the end of April for Street Fighter V. The next character we'll be covering today is Nash. So let's get started. So the first thing Capcom has changed is Nash's forward dash. It's now total movement frames changed from 19 to 18, so this is a buff. Nash's dash is now faster. However, it was nerfed in Season 2 where his forward dash used to be 17 frames. So still not quite what it used to be in Season 1. Now there is kind of a backstory on why Nash's forward dash went from 17 to 19, now it's 18, why Capcom's messing around with it. And basically, when Nash dashes forward, he actually doesn't animate himself moving forward until the 8th frame, which is really strange. So when the human eye sees, Nash moving towards him, they don't really react to Nash until his dash is like already halfway done. It's kind of like his dash is a 9-frame process. When it's just him moving. So that was a huge issue because, the fastest dashes in this game are 15 frames. And in Season 1, when Nash had a 17-frame dash, it seemed like, because from what we've seen, it was like 9 frames actually, instead of 17. As you can imagine, that is super, super fast. But the problem is they didn't just stop there. Not only did they nerf Nash's dash by 2 frames, they also made it so Nash actually moves forward 1 frame faster. Which kind of sounds like it's better, but it's still going to be 19 frames. So what happened was if someone was sticking out a button, for example, they can hit Nash a little earlier than usual. On top of that, back then Street Fighter V had 8-frame delay, right? And now it's been reduced to 6-frame input delay. So that kind of hurt Nash's dash as well because people now can react to it faster. So it was kind of overkill, I feel, for Capcom to nerf it down to 19. So what Capcom did is instead of bringing it all the way back to 17, they just found the middle ground, which is 18. One last thing I should add, guys, is that since Nash's dash is 1 frame faster, this might change some of his wake-up setups, his Oki options, just a tiny bit, anything that involves a forward dash. So, for example, his light kick Sonic Scythe, if you end with this, if the opponent quick rises, you can dash forward and do a crouching medium punch, and that'll hit them. This setup won't work anymore since his dash is 1 frame faster. So keep that in mind, guys. You have to adjust accordingly. Some stuff just won't work anymore. So you kind of see like a indirect nerf. But it could be a buff as well. It could be some stuff that you couldn't do before as well. So yeah. Alright, moving on to the next change. Nash's standing hard punch. So they increased the forward hitbox for the first active frame, and then they expanded the hitbox downward for frames 2 to 3 and reduced the upwards hitbox. So what they've done is they reverted it back to Season 1, so the hitboxes are now back to what they were before. So why did Capcom nerf Nash's standing hard punch in Season 2 in the first place? Well, in case you guys don't know, this is one of Nash's crush counters. In fact, this is his best crush counter because it easily converts into mirrorless damage, and you can also go into the EX moonsault as well. But the thing is that since you're going into the moonsaults, if the opponent blocks it, you're safe. So it's fairly low risk. And since the reward was so high, many Nash players were using this in neutral, which Capcom didn't intend. They wanted this to be as like a punish for uppercuts and such. So what Nash players would like to do is they do like a forward hard kick, for example, and then they would be at this range. And then Nash players would go for the standing hard punch right after, so they'll go like this. So even though Nash was minus, if the opponent even attempted to challenge him, they would be outside of the range to punish Nash in the first place. But then they get clipped by this hard punch, and of course they convert into a lot of damage. So Nash players would do that a lot. They'd space themselves carefully and use the standing hard punch to beat out a lot of the opponent's normals. So basically you had this extremely strong neutral tool that could also crush counter and convert safely into moonsault. So after they nerfed Nash's standing hard punch, he wasn't able to use it as well before. It just get beat out by a lot of normals and stuff. So since they reverted this in the April patch, you can now use this standing hard punch almost in the same way that you can use it before and land more crush counters. I kind of find it strange that Capcom went back on this normal and they didn't want to improve Nash's forward hard punch, because this seems like the neutral crush counter that you want to use. You guys remember this used to be really, really crazy, and Capcom actually nerfed this. It used to be a lot better before, back in the beta days for Nash. But yeah, so standing hard punch will be good as another crush counter tool that Nash can use in neutral. Okay, next change, Nash's crouching medium kick. It says quicken the timing for V-trigger cancel by 1 frame. Note, after the change, Nash will go from +4 to +5 advantage from canceling into V-trigger sonic move hide. So crouching medium kick was actually already buffed in Season 2. What they did is they made it so when you V-trigger cancel it, you're +4 instead of +3. So in Season 1, when Nash did crouching medium kick into Sonic Move High, he was only +3, which means he couldn't convert into anything because he doesn't have a 3-frame normal. But in Season 2, they made it so it was +4, so now you can go into a standing or crouching light punch. So you can do something like that. But then Capcom wanted to buff it even more in this April patch, and now you're +5. And since they buffed Nash's back medium kick, he can now link into a back medium kick. I'm not on the beta servers right now, so I can't show you guys. But technically now you can go crouching medium kick into back medium kick, and you get even more damage. So instead of doing a light scythe, you can do something like back medium kick into hard scythe for some pretty good meterless damage. Something like that you'd be able to do in the April patch. Or you can go into the medium Sonic Scythe into super. So for really good damage as well. Nash's crouching medium kick, you can't cancel out of it. You can only cancel it to V-trigger. So Capcom really wants to give Nash better neutral tools to use. And they want to give him a good normal that if he has V-trigger, he can attempt to go for a quick low. Because, you know, Nash's crouching medium kick is actually pretty good. He's pretty low profile. It's got excellent range. It's just the problem is you can't cancel from it. So I think it's fair to give you a high reward to use your entire V-trigger for some type of conversion. Even if you get a crouching hard punch counter hit, for example, you can convert this into a crouching medium kick really far away. So you can go something like that and then convert it that way. So that's pretty good to salvage, you know, something from this. Okay, moving on to the next change, Nash's medium kick Sonic Scythe. So they increased the pushback distance on block, so this has been buffed. So in Season 2, Capcom nerfed this really hard. For one, it went from -8 on block to -10. So it went from punishable to extremely punishable. And then on top of all that, they decreased the pushback on block. So they made it so you're like right next to the opponent when they block this to guarantee that they're going to punish you hard. I think Capcom just didn't realize that people were going to use this as a neutral tool. And it got really like insane because if you mix this with his fireballs on top of that, and then they could just barely get close to Nash because he'd always swat them away. But I think they went a little overboard on nerfing it because they, you know, decreased the knockback as well. And I think Capcom just wants to reward Nash players for using this move properly. So since the pushback will be more, as long as you space this correctly, you'll be relatively safe, even though it's still -8. So I think just Capcom wants to reward people for using this in the right situations and not just abusing it like it was in Season 1. And finally, the last change, Nash's EX Sonic Scythe. So they added throw invincibility from frames 1 to 6 and expanded the upwards hitbox for the first and second active frames. So this has been reverted back to this Season 1 as well. So in Season 2 they actually nerfed these two things. I guess Capcom didn't like the idea of Nash having crazy mobility and a somewhat reversal option. But I guess they went a little overboard because they made Nash's V-trigger as a reversal option a lot worse when it wasn't really a reversal option. And then on top of that, his V-reversal has been nerfed as well, so they wanted to give Nash something. So if you predict that your opponent's going to be able to throw you as you're getting up off the ground, you have some type of option. I guess Capcom also didn't like the idea that you can go for it, and if the opponent blocks it, you can still V-trigger cancel it. So, you know, if the opponent baits it, for example, you can still V-trigger out and save yourself. And I guess Capcom didn't like that either, but now you can do this. So I don't think the reward is too high, especially when you're using so many resources. So it doesn't mean that, you know, Nash has a reversal option. It's just you have something now. So my final verdict on these Nash changes is slightly buffed. Nash's forward dash buff has helped his crippled mobility because it's 1 frame faster. However, I think Capcom could have made it 2 frames faster and bring it back to the 17 frames because we now have 6 frame input delay and they made it so his forward movement is 1 frame sooner. So I don't see a big deal making it 17 frame dash. Also, medium kick Scythe has been brought back a little bit better neutral tool now. You can use it as long as you safely space it. Standing hard punch, you can use this in neutral now with a high reward if it crush counters. And crouching medium kick will also help him when he has V-trigger up and help him as neutral as well. So 3 improvements to his neutral game. EX Scythe gives him a reversal option. That's not a real reversal option, but it gives you something. But I still don't think that really helps, especially when Nash doesn't have a 3 frame normal. So obviously Capcom's goal is to make Nash much different than Guile. That's what they started off with. And, you know, as they said before, they didn't anticipate how people would be playing Nash when the game finally came out. He became this high mobility monster that can constantly switch gears from rushdown to keep away really quickly. So Capcom's goal is they wanted Nash to be the rushdown character. in Season 2. That's when he received all those nerfs to his mobility and such. And they wanted Guile to be the zoning character, but I would argue that Guile is an even better offensive character than Nash sometimes. But anyways, they did do some buffs to Nash in Season 2, which I didn't go over in my patch notes breakdown, but basically, they really buffed Nash's back medium kick, and they really buffed his corner pressure. They made it really insane with the changes to his EX booms and such, and they really want Nash players to go in with him. So I think these buffs make sense to help his offense a little bit better. But I still think that his V-trigger did get hit a little too hard with the screen freeze, considering it's just a one-time use V-trigger. And he does have some issues compared to what the top-tier characters are now. But I don't think Nash is that bad of a character. I never thought he was, even before he received these buffs. But I don't think Nash is that bad of a character. He's one of the characters that, when they nerfed him, they also gave him other tools, and they completely changed what kind of character he is now. He's the kind of character that you want to go in, you want to start corner pressure, and you really want to stay on the offensive side. So you have to play Nash that way now. You can't play him like he was in Season 1. It's just not as rewarding with the other mobility tools that they nerfed. So, like I said, I feel like Nash is in an okay spot right now. And I don't think he's in as bad as a spot as some characters that were nerfed, have their tools taken away, and nothing given back to compensate. So that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you found this informative. Let me know what you guys think about these Nash changes. Is there still hope for Nash? I'd like to give a shout out to Sonic Soul for helping me with the breakdown of this video. And of course, guys, don't forget to like the video and be sure to subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new, as I'll be going over more character breakdowns in the future. So till then, guys, take care.